Hello guys, and welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to VBA with Microsoft Excel. So in today's class, what we are going to do is pretty simple. We are going to talk about the VBA code a little bit more in depth. And you'll see it's not that complicated to understand. So in the past few classes, what we saw is the macro creation, and we talked about the Visual Basic Studio main page and what it looks like and basically how it works and all those things. So in this class, what we're going to do, we are going to look at the code behind a macro, and we are even going to modify this code a little bit and play with it to be able to create our own macros. So you'll see it's gonna be pretty cool. So let's start. All right, so first thing that I'll ask you guys to do is pretty simple. Just write down example somewhere. So here, let's say I want to write down example. There we go. Next thing that I want to do is simply putting it into a lot of cases. So here we go. I have my example pretty much everywhere. And what I want to do right now is pretty simple. Let's say I want to take all those cases and reduce their sizes. Well, not reduce, make it a little bit bigger. So from 14, I'll go to, let's say, 16. So how exactly I'll do this? So pretty simple. First thing that I want to do is go into my developer tab. Then I'll record my macro. And let's call it text size. So here we go. So I have my macro right there. And what I want to do is select my cells that I will use. Then simply increase their size. And I can even, I don't know, make it bold, for example. So I'll make it bold as well. And then that's it. So I stop recording my macro. So basically, as I explained, all this is converted by Excel into a code. So this is why it's pretty cool using macros, because everything that you do is converted into a code. And you'll see what it looks like. So basically, first thing that is, well, to be able to have this, you need to click on Visual Basic. So what happened is, well, you will see it in modules. So basically, if we go there inside of our modules, this code right here have been created. And basically, this code is pretty simple. It explains us what exactly happened and how exactly the macro will work. But the problem with this code is that there is a little bit too much things inside of it for nothing. So basically, things that we don't necessarily need. So pretty simple. Let's talk about this code and try to understand it a little bit more. So if you look at your code, first thing that you can see is sub text size. So here will be the name of your macro. So your code starts with sub and ends with end sub. Pretty simple. And here, as I said, it's the name of the macro. So we have text size. So if you want to modify the name of the macro, you can modify it right there automatically. Then here, what we can find is comments. So for those of you who have a basic prior programming experience, you know pretty much comments, why are they used. So comments in programming, VBA, Python, or any other programming language are there to give you a hint on why your code is there. So basically in this case, we can say that that's a macro that is used to, I don't know, to make the text a little bit bigger. And what's cool about comments is that they're not taken into consideration when you guys are running your code. So basically the comments are just there to describe your code. So how to write down a comment is pretty simple. You need to start with this little apostrophe right there. And what you can do is simply write a description about what we just did. So basically we can say it's, well, let's make it simpler. So text reduction, that's it. So here we go. We have our comment that have been created. So basically it's just the text reduction. Macro for text reduction. All right, so here we go. We have our macro for text reduction right there. And basically this is what it does. Basically this is what does this macro. Next, here we have our basically macro. So as you can see, first thing that you guys can see is the range. So the range in this case, what it is what are the cells that will be affected by the macro. So basically it starts from the cell G5, which is there, and finishes at the cell key 18, which is right here. So if we look at it, G5 to key 18. So basically this is the range of our macro. All right, next thing will be this part of the code. So basically this is our macro, and what you can see, first of all, will be the policy size. So in this case, the policy name is Calibri. So we have it right there. So if you want to change something in your macro, you can change it automatically here. And then the text size will be 16 in this case. So how exactly we can write down this code? You can write down, well, you can delete the with and end with, and you can write down selection.font, for example, name, and change the Calibri, or dot size and change the size of your text. But instead of, in this case, writing down each time selection.font and the thing that you want to modify, you can write it with a with. So with selection.font, and write down all the attributes that you want to work with. And in this case, add them or delete them. So in the case of our example, we only need Calibri and size, and all the rest has been generated by Excel in case that we are going to use it. So for example, strike through, superscript, subscript, outline font, shadow, and all the other things, we are not necessarily using them. So we don't need them. So what we can do is pretty simple. We can delete all those right now. And we will have end with. So basically our code would work properly even if we only have this part of the code. So we can try to run it once again. So what we'll do exactly is pretty simple. We're just going to go back here, delete the bold, and make the text at 14. So what we'll do after that, we're going to run our macro. So how exactly we run our macro? Simply by clicking right there on run. So as you can see, everything has been changed. All right, last part of the code, selection.font.bold. Basically, it's pretty much the same thing as right there. It's just written, well, in a complete sentence. So the same way that here. So if I, for example, write down false right there, so false, what's gonna happen is when I run my macro, here we go, I'll just run it there. As you can see, the bold part has been deleted. So I can modify my macro as I want right here. All right, so now that you understand the basics, let's create a really basic really basic macro based on this part of the code. So something that is pretty simple. So first thing that I'll ask you guys to do will be in insert and insert a module. So then what we'll do, we are going to create a macro that is based on this one right here. So we'll just copy all the code that we have here and we are going to modify it. So then we are going to come back in our module number 2, paste it there. So first thing that we want to change will be the title. So we'll call it text size part 2. Let's just call it text size 2. It's gonna be simpler. So here we'll add to our comment text size 2. All right, so first thing what we wanna do is change the range. So in this case, what I wanna do with this macro is instead of having this range, I wanna have another range. So in this case, what range I wanna use? It's pretty simple. I wanna use this range right there. But the problem is, well, it's on all, well, it's right now it works on all this range right here. So if I run it, as you can see, it works on all the range. So first thing that I want to do is simply modify the range. So what I want as a range, I want only this. So I want it from H6 to G17. So this is exactly what I will do. I will change the range. So H6 to G17. All right, so we have everything that we need. So we have our range that is ready. So next thing that we want to change will be the type of policy. So in this case, we don't want to have Calibri. We want to have, I don't know, let's say we want to have Arial. So you can choose any policy that you guys want. So we'll say Arial. So instead of Calibri, we're going to write down Arial. And for the size, instead of 16, we want to have 14. Well, no, let's say 20. 20 will be better. And finally here, so for the selection bold, we want to have it in bold. So we'll write down true. But not only we want to have the bold part, we also want to have the italic part right there. So what we'll do, we'll simply write down pretty much the same thing. So selection.font. And what we want to add will be italic. So in this case, italic. We want our text to be in italic as well. So here we go, we have it. And there we want it to be true. All right, so we have everything that we need. Next thing is pretty simple. It's just testing out our macro. So we can run it. And as you can see, everything works fine. So basically our macro is, well, we have our macro right there. That is only for this part. And if we run our other macro, that is here, it's going to be applied on all the text right there, which is pretty cool. And if we want to get rid of the italic part, we can add, well, we can go in our module number 2, take our selection.font.italic, and instead of having it as true, we will write it down false here. So what it will do, it will also delete the italic part. So if we run it, as you can see, it's not italic anymore. And if we run our module number 2, well, as you can see, it works perfectly fine. And right now what we have just did, we have created a macro that is based on our past macro that is right there. So pretty simple. So right now, well, let's recapitulate everything to be sure that you guys understand how it works. So first part of our code, pretty simple. You need to have your name. So you start your code with writing down sub, then the name of your macro. So in this case, it's text size, and that's it. That's the name of your macro. Then here you have comments, but those comments are not mandatory. You can delete them if you want. You can add them whenever you want in the text. Well, in your code, it doesn't matter. Then next thing, the range of where exactly your macros will, well, your macro will be effective. So in this case, it's effective from G5 to K18. And then you write down your macro. So once again, this is just for our basic example. So here I'm writing down my macros, so selection.font. I want to modify the type of policy, so in this case it's .name. I want to modify the size of my text, so it's going to be .size. I want to change it to be bold as well, so in this case I want it to be bold, so here I should write down the true if I want it to be bold, and italic I should write down true right there. So basically that's our first module, so it's for text size. Also, last thing, so basically as I explained at the beginning, the way it's gonna be written, so here I have with selection.font, and instead of writing down selection.font.name, so the same way that it's written right there, I just write down selection.font. Here I can write down .name, .size, and all the other attributes that I want to give to my macro, instead of writing down selection.font each and every time. So it's a little bit more simpler, and this is why we're using the with right here. So we have with and with. So I hope you guys right now understand it a little bit more. So as you can see, it's not that complicated and it's pretty simple to understand. But once again, that's just the basics. So right now you can practice by yourself by creating by creating small macros that do some basic stuff like this one. So that's it for this class, guys. And see you all in our next class.